Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be a video response to a thread that I think was going around a number of months ago, but I saw Ron, Mind Over Metal, did a response to it last night or night before last, and I saw it this morning and just kind of thought, hey, I think I want to do a quick response because it's kind of a fun question. I enjoyed watching his response, but it was basically the record buying thread that was just kind of asking, what are your kind of rules, or you can say parameters, or quirks, or just kind of like what lane do you stay in when it comes to buying or purchasing records and that type of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think when you start talking about that, there's basically three core things that everyone kind of deals with on that. You have quality, you have cost, and you have quantity. I think those are the three main kind of pillars, if you will. So let's start with quality. Thinking about it and getting ready to make this video, I definitely know that that's changed for me really kind of three solid times over the years. When I first started collecting, it was just all about being excited about getting new records and dollar bins and the whole nine. Quality really didn't matter much of anything at that point. Second stage of my collecting was kind of when I got to the point where I was really focused on building a library. That was kind of my focus. I want a library of all the music that I love. Now, nothing just for collection's sake, but just stuff that I actually liked, you know. And so during that stage, it was kind of a combination of both. You had, not so good quality stuff coming in. Then you also had great quality stuff in reissues and box sets and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of just a mixture of quality. Now I've really gotten to the point to where quality is truly, a very, very, very high priority in my collection. And a lot of that is thanks to, Robert Z. And of course, you guys know Robert Z here in the VC has what I consider to be the most immaculate collection, pardon the pun, of anyone in the VC. Just extremely high quality collection, mint condition across the board. A fantastic MoFi collection, Japanese pressings, promos, just kind of, just a fantastic collection. And I think one of the big things that I got from Robert Z was there was all these facets of music that I've always enjoyed. The music itself, which I enjoyed tremendously, and then I was enjoying the collection aspect, but I hadn't really quite got the joy of the just having like the pristine collection and that joy that comes into the whole realm of listening to music, collecting music, and all of that. And I think Robert Z kind of introduced me to that, and it's definitely something that I get a lot more joy out of, if you will, or joy that's been added to the love that I already had for music as a whole, is really upping that level of condition. So I remember I watched Robert Z and had watched his videos and everything, and there was one day when I went and played a Christopher Cross self-titled, Sailing and Ride Like the Wind and all of that, and then I also pulled out a Led Zeppelin Houses of the Holy. And I remember both of those records were playing with so many pops and crackles that day that I just really couldn't even enjoy them. And I was like, what's the point of having this record on the shelf? I can't even pull it out and listen to it and enjoy it. And between what I experienced from Robert Z at that time and that day with those two records, I went into purge mode. And I was just like, I'm going through every single one of my records. I'm going to clean each one, check it out. If I'm not sure, I'm going to listen to it. And anything that's not up to standard, it's out the window. And I got rid of literally hundreds and hundreds of records doing that. So after I kind of cleaned my collection, then I even got to the phase I'm at now where I started focusing on, I want more of these pressings on music on vinyl, Japanese pressings, MoFi pressings, and all of that. So that's kind of where the quality of my collection is right now, which is a place I really, really love. I love kind of knowing and being in a place where I can pretty much go pick out any record in my collection, and 97 and 98% of the time it's going to be an excellent near mint condition, perfect pressing, and and I really like that. So that quality piece is definitely is kind of where I'm at on that. So if I'm in a store and I'm looking to pick up a record, a used record, I'm not really accepting of any ring wear, uh, no seam splits, things of that nature. No marks on the records. I mean, truly, it needs to be excellent to near mint condition. And what I've really found is all it does is it's just made me be a little more patient. That's all. Yeah, this is a decent copy, but I can be patient and wait. I know I'll come across a great copy of this at some point in time. So that's where I kind of am on the quality. One funny thing I've done with that though is there are a few records, about 20 or 25 records, that are not up to the standard, that came out of my collection, out of my database, but I just wasn't quite ready to, get them out the window. I have a tabbed section now that's labeled Finders Keepers. Is the name of the section. And what that section basically is are albums that I've pulled out of my collection, are not up to standard condition wise, but I'm not going to get rid of them until I can find a mint replacement copy. So stuff like the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack, original pressing that I have. A lot of cover wear. Vinyl plays pretty good, but has some marks throughout it, scuff marks or whatever. But you don't see many of those original pressings pop up, period, much less, I don't know if I've ever seen a mint one pop up. So it's just kind of like, until I do, I think there were some reissues that have come out that were on colored vinyl. Number one, I don't like that. And they're running, $35 or $40. So it's like, yeah. So I'm just going to hold on to that until someday I'm walking through a store somewhere and I stumble across one for $7. It's in mint condition. Fat chance, but yeah, so my little 20 or 25 or 30 records in my Finders Keeper section is kind of my little funny exception to the rule. But those records are officially out of my collection, though, not in my database. So anyway, that's kind of the thing on quality. Cost, obviously a big one we have to deal with because the vast majority of us here in the VC are not multimillionaires and don't have hundreds and hundreds of dollars spent on records every month. If I'd have won that Mega Millions last week, that would have been a different story for a lot of us. But yeah, when it comes to cost, one thing I've heard a lot of people say is, like, I would never pay more than $20 for a record or $30 for a record or something like that. I don't have that rule or standard whatsoever, and it's not because I'm not saying I have like tons of money to spend where I can just pay anything for a record. What I'm saying more so is, let's say I have $40 in my PayPal account. And if I'm sitting there thinking, and there's one record I want that's $40, two records I want that are $20 each, or four $10 records, I don't decide which purchase to make based off of how much I'm paying for the record. To me, what's going to determine that purchase is which one of these purchases is going to bring me the most satisfaction with my collection. And of course, the music that I want. So if the $20 purchase is going to give me the most satisfaction, I'm going with that. If it's the $40 purchase, I'm going with that. Or the 410s or the 85s, whatever the case may be. Or it might even be to not purchase and to sell and get $20 more and to make this $60 purchase. That might be the one that's going to bring me the most satisfaction. But that's what I base what I will pay for an album, or when I'm doing a purchase, is what's going to bring the most satisfaction with the purchase I make right now. So again, I don't have a rule on how much I'll pay for an album, like it seems like a number of people kind of do. Now, the one place where I do focus on cost when it comes to collecting is I'm very adamant about spending the least amount of money I can out of my own pocket on buying vinyls. That's where cost comes into play for me. So when I'm out in the wild, just kind of, digging or whatever, and let's say I stumble across a record, or I should say, when I'm digging and looking at places, I'm looking for stuff to flip just as much as I'm looking for something to bring into my collection. So I stumble across a record, let's say that's someone selling for $12.99. Actually, a Velvet Revolver that I sold not kind of recently is a good example. Saw one for $12.99. I was like, that record goes for a little bit more than that, and I bought it, brought it home, put it on eBay, sold it for a bit over $40. So I use that $40. Let's say I go buy a $40 record. In my mind, I paid $12 for that $40 record. I didn't pay $40 for it. So when it comes to costs, that's the kind of thing that I think I focus on a little more so than the actual price tag on the record, but how much money came out of my pocket to get it. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, but I think over time, if you really pay attention to that, let me just give you kind of a few quick examples. About 2 months ago, if even that, I went to a little store I go to that's about an hour and a half away. I asked the guy, it's kind of like a used furniture store, some music and everything else. You have any reel-to-reels? We have a small box back over there behind the counter. Open it up, it's just a bunch of, old recorded, nothing special, $1 a piece. There was this one bundle that had 3 reels in it, had a rubber band around it, and it said 75 cents or 25 cents each. And I opened it up, and it was just a catch reel, no tape, just a little metal catch reel that, catches the tape. And so I thought, well, I don't see a name brand on it or anything, but I know just in general, metal reels tend to be something that people like, so I bought them. 75 cents for all 3. Brought them home. I kept one for myself. I sold the other 2 on eBay for for $40 a piece. So I used that $80 to buy about 4 Japanese pressings that I showed in the video a couple videos ago. So in my mind, I paid 50 cents for those 4 or 5 Japanese pressings that I got. Not so much where one of those Japanese pressings was $27.99. I paid 50 cents for all of them. And again, just other examples off the top of my head. Walking through a record show one time, I had a Miles Davis album that I bought for like $6 or $7. It was kind of in rough condition actually at the time. And a guy said, "Hey, you a jazz fan? I'm packing up, getting ready to go, but I have some jazz albums I got in the estate sale. Everything in this little box down here is only $3 a piece." I looked through them really quick. I recognized Sonny Rollins' name. There's a Pearson, which I didn't really know him at the time. But when I pulled them out and looked at them, I'm like, okay, these are Blue Note. They're in pretty good condition. And I pulled it out and noticed it was a groove around the label. And so I was like, well, in general, deep groove Blue Note records tend to be somewhat desirable. Okay, I don't know these, but I'll give you $3 a piece for them. Took both of those home, sold them on eBay for over $250 each. It's almost $500 created off of $3. Owl City that I found in a, not a half-price books, what was that other store? Hastings. Marked down from like $18, marked down to $4.99. Again, like I'm not that familiar with Owl City, but I know it's a band that people like. I bought it, sold that about a year and a half later for just over $100. Hot Topic was walking through there. Of course, this was years ago as well. Panic at the Disco, Fever You Can't Sweat Out. The release they did. It was originally $12.99, marked down to $3.97. I was like, I don't really know the band, but I know Panic at the Disco. But bought it for $3.97, sold that for over $200. And there's a couple other albums kind of in that same category. But my point behind it is, when I look at my collection over the past few years, I can literally say there's over $1,000 worth of stuff that I have in my collection that I did not shell out more than $30 for, And so to me, when you're out digging and stuff like that, just always be mindful. Don't be looking just for stuff to buy to keep, but also look for stuff to flip. And familiarize yourself, with certain artists maybe you don't care as much about, but that, just to kind of know if I do stumble across these things. I was digging through a dollar bin just a couple weeks ago and came across these 3 Mariah Carey albums. And I'm like, now Mariah Carey's not something you see very often, period, much less in dollar bins. I bought all 3 of them. Well, I can't remember the name of it now, Emancipation of Mimi or something like that. I mean, I found a beautiful 2 LP copy of that. and got out of a dollar bin. It was $1 per disc, so it was $2. Those things are going on eBay for 150, 200 plus dollars. And I'm like, so I put it on eBay for $99, and I'm sure I'll end up selling it with no problem. And that turns $2 into 100 of stuff to buy. So, so yeah, definitely, I think it's a good thing cost-wise to kind of program yourself to be able to know what some of these things run when you're digging through hundreds and thousands of records over your lifetime. You have to be passing up some stuff that you could flip and get your cost down on the next thing you buy. But anyway, I don't mean to get too far off on that, but that's the biggest place I focus on cost. Cost is trying to figure out how to generate those eBay sales, which is why you hear me mentioning in my videos sometimes, oh, eBay sales were great this month, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, sorry, move along. Quality, cost, quantity, really don't have any focus on quantity whatsoever. Never too much, too little. I just want the things that I want the things I want in my collection, period. Of course, with this narrowing down to quality, I have noticed that my number of LPs have gone down a little bit. When I look at the number of used sleeves that I have, you know, I haven't gotten back anywhere near the amount that I've purged out. So, but yeah, I don't care about quantity at all. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of it. Those are the three things. I was saying, I guess CDs, because I do collect CDs as well. Exact same thing on CDs. I've been going through my entire CD collection, doing a wet clean on every single one, replacing the jewel cases if they're not crystal clear, perfect. Looking at each CD under the light, seeing if there's any marks whatsoever, and if there are any marks, and it's not a mirror clean, they're out of the collection, they're purged. And of course, you know, the MoFi Japanese pressings and all of that, you know, really like bringing that stuff, the mini LPs, I like bringing that stuff into my collection. I'm about 3/4 of the way through my CD collection in terms of going through the purge. It's taking a lot longer than the vinyl with having to wet clean each one and, you know, drying them off and all of that stuff. So, and actually, since I have the camera on the little holder here, maybe I'll kind of take you around and show you where I'm at really quick on the CD thing and kind of wrap up there. But yeah, let me kind of, forgive me too if I can't work the camera angle. Okay, so you guys saw my CD room on the my tour video. So just to give you an idea here, all the CDs up here have been clean. Again, wet clean. Everything is absolute mirror reflections and, you know, perfect jewel or perfectly clear jewel cases put on them. Same thing with this row here. All that's been done. And over here, I've done it. I'm right down to, if I can point there, here. So I still have all these to go down here, and then these two down there, and I will I can get the camera to work there. And then I will finally be through those. I've been working on this for I don't know how long, but it's just kind of taking a while. But so like I said, I go through and clean them, and there's not a perfect mirror reflection. They get purged, and if they get purged, I actually bring those in here. And this is where all the purge CDs sit. So just in the amount that I've been through, this is the amount of CDs I've pulled out of my collection. So all of this has been taken out of my database, and, you know, sometimes I pull stuff from here to sell. You know, sometimes they just sit here until I end up getting another copy, and then, you know, I'll come take it out of here and blah, blah, blah. But this is just kind of the purge stack. And what you'll see on here is each one of them has a little red sticker on it that just tells me the condition that it's in. So like that has a 1, which means extremely light marks. Really kind of the only thing that has it in the purge file is the fact that I'm being anal, and most people will be more than perfectly happy with this copy. Something like a 5.5 on Billy Idol, you know, maybe quite a few visual marks that you can see on it, but no scratches and nothing that affects play or anything like that. But and I just kind of do that again in case I want to put a bundle together to sell on eBay or something of that nature, or, you know, just kind of whatever. But I like this because it, it has my actual collection kind of isolated, and it's meant to where I want it to be. But until I find a new copy or whatever else, if I do want to come in and listen to something, I mean, the CDs are right here. They're not out of my home, so to speak. But so that's kind of what I'm doing with the CD purge piece. Goes a little bit slower too, because going back to the cost thing, I think that does play a bigger role with the CDs, because I am much more particular about how much I'm willing to pay for a CD. So even to go into a store and think about paying, $5.99 even for a used CD, it's just like, and of course I'm not talking about Japanese pressings or MoFi pressing, just like, it's a regular everyday CD. It's like, I'm not paying $6 for a used CD. So I'm much more picky about the cost of CDs than I am vinyl records. You know, and of course there's certain stuff, like, I mean, I'm working on completing my Motorhead collection, and you don't find, especially the more rare Motorhead stuff, you don't get that stuff for $5 or $6. But but yeah, CDs, definitely not willing to pay. If you get over $5 with a used CD, you're pushing it. You're already pushing it at $5. I need your $2 bin. Your 3 for $9 type of thing. But anyway, okay, enough rambling. Thanks for watching, VC. Let me know if you guys have any questions, or if there's anything else you'd like to know about my collection, collecting habits, or anything like that. Be more than happy to answer. All right, take care, VC.